I have a question.
Yeah.
When you met David, did you speak this way?
What way does he speak?
What way does he speak?
You don't speak like you're. You don't have a Singaporean.
I never really had a Singaporean accent, I guess.
So how does that affect you when you go to the clubs and you meet people? When you
in
date,
the sense that, yeah.
Oh yeah, and then in addition to that, when you date, what kind of girls go for you? Are they foreign girls, local girls?
Yeah. Well, see, for starters, you should stop saying what kind of girls go for me. It should be what kind of girls do I go for.
Yeah.
What kind of girls do you?
No, I assume you're attracting girls,
right?
Girls go
But
for
I mean, I must admit, I do tend to date Western girls more than I do Asians in Asia. Simply for the simple reason, not because I have any preference, but because I find it very hard to connect to people who've never traveled, for example. Like they've never even been out of their home country. And then conversely, when I go to America, I find it really hard to connect to the locals, so the Western girls there. That you meet someone who's a Midwestern girl from North Carolina. That's not really Midwest, but you meet a Midwestern girl from Idaho, and she's never been out of the state before. Or her idea of going overseas is Miami. I'm dead serious. I met, and it's really hard to connect. I feel the same way when I go to Beijing. I meet people who've never left Beijing at all, like just the city. They've never been outside Beijing, or they've gone to Tianjin once.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's
they have
really
no
hard to
interest
connect to people.
No,
It's
no
just
interest
because
in
it's a different worldview. The entire perspective is just so different. That doesn't tend to happen as much in Singapore, just because of the way Singapore is. It's a much more international place. But still, I find it hard to relate to some kinds of people, I guess, with very narrow perspectives.
Well, you've been back since, when did you move back here? Like you moved from Beijing here?
Yeah.
January?
Like,
were you here? Oh yeah, no, you were here in
I was
December.
here for a month.
November?
Yeah, I was here for Christmas, I was here for...
So around
weeks,
December,
February,
November?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've been out a lot of times since then. I've never seen you have trouble opening. One of the things that you do as just part of your identity is you play an elite game. That's one of the main reasons. One of the main reasons I brought you in was to give the elite perspective. Not the elite perspective in terms of just women, but in society. I mean, like just the watch that you're carrying happens to be worth more than anything in my possession put together currently. But just that part of what a lot of guys are trying to do is to pretend to be elite. So I know so none of you are going for surfer. So you can go for low class, but hot low class guy, like a biker. Does anyone own a Harley Davidson? I don't think so. No one's doing Harley Davidson boots. I don't see any tattoos on you. I don't see any piercings. No one's doing that. So instead, you're kind of middle of the road. You guys are office boys, right? Like white collar office boys. That's just middle of the road. No one likes middle of the road. Either you go to the end or you go to the top. So here's an example of, as a very young man, doing the identity of a more of an elite within Singapore society. And the elite are attracted to others who have some part of them that's elite. That's usually one characteristic is they've traveled a lot. So they have many different perspectives on things. I happen to be able to get along much better with those who are also very well traveled. I hate parochialism. It's one of the things that incites frustration very quickly in me. And it's just one of the easiest ways to see this is racial discrimination in Singapore against the Filipinos or the Thais and so forth. It's very common. To me as a Canadian, I have no clue where this is coming from. Where's the history? They work for you as a maid. Why do you have to piss on them? You should be grateful that they'll do that work. For me, but to the Singaporeans who give me that, which is pretty common now at the lower classes, I don't like that. And partly it's because they've never lived in the Philippines, or they've never lived in a country that they're not citizens of. At the beginning of a conversation, whether you like them or not is up to you whether you want to end it. But there's a skill to being able to relate to people. It's the identity. See, that his identity, who he is with women, runs throughout his life. Like who he is with women is the same as who he is when he's with his dad. And I've seen this because he brought his dad out a couple times, which is kind of weird. But then he offered me a cigar, so I loved him. So there's yeah, I have low standards. So yeah, there's no incongruity or incongruence. So, and part of it is picking an identity. I mean, I've been harping on that for a long time. And the easiest way to convey your identity is how you look. We went over that in the fashion and image. You can get a fashion consultation, get that down really quick in one day, or you can fumble around for a while. But you guys are coming from work, so I understand. But even at work, you could go in with a tailored look and really stand out.
Well, one simple question. I don't know if you've ever asked this, but like in your mind, if you had an image of how you want yourself to be, even something very simple like how you want yourself to look, what would it be? And most people, when you ask them that, they can't even answer the question. They're like, well, I want to look good, nice. I want to look, But like, I mean, honestly, if I said, you could look however you wanted to look, how would you look? And the bigger question, if you, I should ask, if you could do anything, what would you do? And guys and girls alike, so often you ask that and they have no answer. Like when I meet a girl out and I ask her that, I find it's a really big turn off for me when you ask her if you could have anything, what would you have? Or what's one of your dreams? And she's like, I don't have any.
In general, people are doing vanilla identities. So they're not choosing one or the other. I mean, clearly people here are trying to go for a particular identity and they're doing it pretty well. But I think you need to push it a little further.
There's nothing specifically wrong with dressing anyway. It's just don't dress that way because you think you should or you have to. Like I said,
Right.
if in your mind, if you could dress in any way, how would you dress? And really, none of it is terribly hard.
Well, that's an example. If you want to be a bum, be the best bum
exactly.
ever.
I mean,
I want to dress like a bum. I don't want to be a bum.
No, but see, people don't understand. Like, I've seen so many guys walk in wear like shorts and like a singlet and flip flops, and they look like a bum, like a real bum, but they're just so happy with where they are. Your typical like sit on the beach and smoke joints kind of surfer guy who's just happy with his life.
Actually, I actually took the MRT today. Very, very rare, but I was in Somerset, so I thought I should do that. And when I was getting my car, there were 3 tourists looked like from Europe, and it was amazing because they had one guy had red pants that were rolled up to here and flip flops, but they were tight. Like super tight, but then the top was this linen thing, and he had like he had about 5 bracelets on, 5 necklaces on, and he had his Rastafarian hair. It was a white dude, and it was dyed red to match his pants. I didn't know that. I don't think that's how he met, but it happened to match. And he had a red hat on, and then his friend had yellow Rastafarian hair and yellow pants. And then there's 3 dudes there, and like, oh my god, these guys are so backpacker guys. But they look like hip Euro backpacker guys. And then a 4th guy came along. Before he was even 10 meters away, I knew this guy belonged to that group. Because they all had that look, which was, they all had the black, just cheapo flip-flops that you get for $10 a cotton on. But they had the whole look. It was edgy, with the accessories and the hair, and they had these sunglasses that were, they were just weird, like the tie-dye sunglasses. So they were doing a look, and I'm pretty sure their identity is, one of them was just carrying a carton of cigarettes where the top was just sawn off, like there was no cover for it. So he's just carrying them loose like that, just like flipping them around. So I'm pretty sure these guys smoke weed, probably not in Singapore, but this is a particular type of identity. And that is identifiable immediately. So, he's always dressed in a certain way. Like there's variations, especially when he's swimming. But usually when you see him and he just opens his mouth and says one sentence, you already know a lot about him, right? Based on stereotypes, and that's what he's playing on because it's his identity. So I challenge you to make your identity consistent and then to live it. Like one of the question he asked you, what would you even look like? Let alone how would you spend your day and your personality and the deeper things, but just how would you look?
Like if you never had to show up for a job or anything, if you would never be judged on your clothes, what would you wear? And I mean, if you really say, well, I'm not into always wearing a shirt. I want to walk around with no shirt. I mean, we're in Singapore, it's hot. I mean, simple things. I guess what's most important, not just in terms of like meeting women, but your life is having that sense of I'm doing what I want to do, like I'm on a path going somewhere I want to be, and I'm doing things that bring me closer to that goal where I want to be. And if a girl can sense that, I think that's the most powerful thing you can do, more than anything else. And it doesn't matter what that goal is. Your goal could be to be the best bonga player in the world. But, you know...
Damn! Why are you telling people about my dream? That's a secret.
You mentioned earlier that you like other Singaporean guys, you used to want to wait until everything's ready before you...
I don't know, that's just me.
Yeah. So, what about you over there that you start working on dreams right away?
Because I never got anything done. I mean, just by nature, I'm a ginormous procrastinator.
So
I'm always just do it. Just do the first thing. If you want like a mental trick, one thing that I found really well to use your procrastination to help you is to tell yourself, okay, for example, I need to write a speech. I'm only allowed to spend 5 minutes on it. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to start writing it, and after 5 minutes I must stop. I'm not allowed to do any more work. That's it. And you start writing and you find that actually I just want to keep going. Simple things. Just start making a change. You introduced me to the book, Tim Ferriss's book. So what is it? He says you need for a body,
right.
which is a good book. But you know, once you do anything, was it 5 times becomes habit?
Oh right,
Just
creating
doing it
habits.
the first 5 times. Like I said, just set very simple goals, very small changes. I'm going to do this one thing. That's it, and nothing else. And like as long as I achieve that one tiny little goal, I'll be happy. Even something ridiculous like saying like, I am going to go on a jog for 2.5 minutes, and that's it. And once you start, you realize, oh, actually, I have to just keep going.